Ukraine's Baba Yaga heavy bomber drones have destroyed 4 North Korean-made 170mm self-propelled M1989 Koksan howitzers in the eastern direction of the front. The video of the moment of the strike has been shared in social media. The strike on the targets in a forested area is followed by explosion. Koksan is a powerful 170mm cannon with a barrel length of more than 8 meters. Around 50 Koksan howitzers and up to 20 M1991 short-range missile systems were delivered to Russia in mid-November 2024 to reinforce the Russian armed forces in the conflict with Ukraine. Pyongyang has deployed military hardware and thousands of troops in Russia since last year.
Well-known Z-patriot Maxim Kalashnikov acknowledged that the war against Ukraine is becoming destructive for Russia, primarily in economic terms. He made this important statement on his blog. The war is aimed at the complete destruction and crushing of the Russian Federation. First and foremost, of course, is the economic aspect. Since the decline in oil revenues against the backdrop of low oil prices is a blow like a steel beam below the belt. The war is seriously aimed at our defeat, and it doesn't necessarily require the Ukrainian armed forces to create a large cauldron for us or reach Moscow. Defeat can be achieved by inflicting economic collapse in one's rear. This has happened before in world history, he stated. According to him, Ukrainian drone and missile strikes on Russian oil refineries and gas pumping stations indicate that Kiev is waging a large-scale and targeted campaign. Approximately 17% of oil refining capacity has been disabled, and the fuel crisis is growing. Voices are growing louder that we'll have to switch to rationing fuel consumption using coupons. Kalashnikov noted. Military observer and IDF officer Yigal Levin agreed with his assessment. He said Ukraine's attacks on pipelines and refineries represent a deliberate strategy. This is a systematic campaign with a specific goal of destroying Russia economically, Levin emphasized. He recalled that history has examples of defeats without the fall of the capital. It's hard to disagree with Kalashnikov. To lose, you don't necessarily have to have your capital captured. Germany suffered a crushing defeat in World War II, even though there were virtually no enemy troops on its territory, the experts said. Media previously reported that Z channels are unhappy with the Kremlin's plans to raise VAT. Increasing the value-added tax rate to 22%, coupled with a high key rate, is a death sentence for the Russian economy. The Telegram channel Smoker's Empire directly predicted the dire consequences for Russia. I'll explain it simply. If the ruble remains pegged at 80% and the rate at 16 to 17%, but VAT rises from 20 to 22%, the economy will begin to smell like a graveyard for objective reasons, because the conditions will be incompatible with life. The channel also warns that due to a combination of factors, declining oil and gas revenues, unscheduled plant shutdowns, and localized accidents, most companies will run out of reserves by the end of the year. A municipal official also unexpectedly voiced harsh criticism. Tomsk Duma deputy Speaker Andrei Petrov predicted that the Kremlin's VAT fraud would destroy small businesses, calling the initiative cannibalistic. they want to increase the VAT rate to 22%. This is a tax included in the price of most goods, which is paid by literally all citizens, including even the poorest, the regime spokesman wrote. Previously, the media repeatedly published videos and photos of the expanding cemeteries in Russia, where occupiers who died in the war against Ukraine are buried, and now further evidence has emerged of enormous losses suffered by the aggressor country. In the city of Birsk, in Bashkortostan, with a population of 44,000, a monument honoring the names of residents who died in the wars in Afghanistan and Chechnya have now been added to the existing ones, a monument honoring those killed in Ukraine. So, if 3 residents of the aforementioned city died in the war in Afghanistan, 4 in the 2 wars in Chechnya, and 188 in the war against Ukraine. Thus, in 3.5 years of Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine, Birsk's losses are 60 times greater than those in the 10 years of the war in Afghanistan. What is happening is being met with massive protests in Birsk. The population is protesting the policies of the Russian leadership. The increasing attacks by Ukrainian drones on Bashkortostan are also increasing dissatisfaction with the Russian leadership among the population. Recall, Ukrainian drone strikes ignited a fire at a major Gazprom oil and petrochemical facility in the Republic of Bashkortostan, regional officials said. 2 drones attacked the Gazprom Neftekhim Salvat enterprise. Bashkortostan regional head Radi Kadirov wrote on Telegram describing the incidents as a terrorist attack. He said security guards at the facility opened fire on the drones. Emergency crews were working to contain the blaze, Kadirov said, adding that no one was injured in the attack. The extent of the damage remained unclear. Gazprom Neftekhim Salvat, Russia's 10th largest refinery, with a capacity of 10 million metric tons of oil annually, produces more than 150 petroleum and chemical products. Ukrainian drones first targeted the plant in May 2024. The strike came as Gazprom Neft announced that it had postponed scheduled maintenance at its Omsk oil refinery due to government measures aimed at stabilizing domestic fuel supplies. Ukraine has stepped up attacks on Russian energy infrastructure in recent months, hitting at least 10 refineries since early August and forcing Russia to slash refining capacity by nearly 20% at one point, according to Reuters. Russia's pipeline monopoly Transneft reportedly warned producers this week that output could be curbed further if drone attacks continue to damage key facilities. Wholesale oil prices in Russia have surged amid the drone attack.